Well, welcome to the Brian Marshall Podcast. And I want to say I've got a person that I've known for many years, and we've had a hard time connecting to get you here, but we're glad you're here. Mark
Thanks.
Maxwell from Maxwell House of Music.
Mm-hmm.
And probably has one of the most, well, I don't want to say famous, but successful, maybe is a better word, bands in the area.
Yeah.
Successful music store and successful on the internet as of late.
As of late, that's for sure. Yeah.
We're going to do this because we've got a lot to talk about in a two-part segment. So I want to encourage people to come back and see the second half of this because we're going to switch gears.
All right. What's the first half?
First half is music. We're going to talk about music. And you
Okay.
started before we walked in here to our little podcast domain to tell me a story about your you have
Kid
a new
that came in
student
today, I think.
Yeah. So
You mean music?
yeah, music.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you said somebody stopped in. There was a story.
Know, yeah. So, I come from a musical family, right?
Yes.
And my dad has always played drums in this town of Louisville, Kentucky, and he had a band that kind of made it to another level, and they went out on the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars.
Was that a
tour.
Legion Field?
Soul Incorporated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've got that record. Well,
Both
both of them.
Both bands did well. Legion Field did well, and Soul Incorporated did well. But went out on a went out on a tour with the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars, and finally he said, I think I just probably need to land at home. So he started working at a music store, right? And so he took off and eventually owned his own music store called Mom's Music.
Yeah.
That's right here in Louisville. And then a few years ago we sold that business, but I started a store many years ago called Maxwell's House of Music, which is in Jeffersonville, Indiana. So I still have that. That's my music store that I have, and then I am in a band called the Crashers, which is just a fun band locally.
Got quite the following.
It's got a great following. It's a very smart business plan.
Which is what?
Well, okay. If we're going to talk about band, or we're going to talk about
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We just have a conversation.
So if I was going to talk about the band, this is a deep thing. I was 42 years old, played music all my life, never made a dime. In other words, a few $100 here, a few $100 there.
Right.
And decided, hey, I want to make some money. I've never made money in the music business playing music. It's been $100 here, $150 there, maybe $200. And I said, I want to make enough to where I could live on it. How would I do that? So found a few guys that I liked. That was the first step. If you can hang out with people you love, you like, can do life with, then you can be together. That was 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Still the same 6 guys.
The best friends or the best musicians?
Not even either.
Doesn't
I
matter.
would say that we like each other. We don't hang out with each other. We go to gigs together, but we like each other as humans. That's where it starts. Don't need to go out to dinner every week with them. Don't need to spend all my life with them, right? We show up on Tuesday nights. We rehearse every Tuesday night. We play almost every weekend that we want to play anyway. So started this band. We sat around the room. We said, do we like each other? That was number 1. More important than anything, do we like each other? Yeah. 2 is, are they the best players? No. Are there some incredible players in the band? Absolutely. Are all of us? No. But I'll get more onto that one in a second. But so started this band and said, hey, if you could do anything, what would you do? Well, I'd like to be in a band, sleep in my own bed, right? Not have to go out on the road. Okay, fine. Let's find a way to stay here. All right, what's number 2? Well, we want to make more money than we've ever made before. Okay, that's
a good goal.
It's a good goal. All right, 3, we want to not stay out past 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, fine. We want to play the biggest events in town, and we want to play for the most people. In other words, we want to be the biggest draw, right? So if and I said, okay, so we're talking about, we also don't ever want to move our own gear.
Oh, I like that one.
That's the greatest one of all.
Yes.
So I said to them, we all said, what do we if we were to reverse engineer this? If we're all sitting here and let's say we're standing on a stage right now, we're visioning, we have a vision of us.
Yeah.
Here it is. We're on that stage. What had to happen that we're standing on that stage? We're playing for the most people that you could possibly play with, right? Most money, best gig in town. In other words, we didn't move our own gear. So all those dreams came true, standing on that stage. What had to happen? So we reverse engineered every step of that. Well, we'd have to get the kind of money we'd need, we would have to, one, be very good at what we're doing, which happens in a rehearsal room. So we'll have to talk about that. But business-wise, we'd have to be really sharp. Not only that, we'd have to ask more than anybody else and be worth more than anybody else, right? So we just started reverse engineering the entire thing. We went out in our first, we made this killer website that looked like we were worth the money we wanted.
Nice.
We sent it out to everybody in the town that we thought could hire us. We had lots of people come back to us and say, hey, how much, what is this? And we were like, well, we're $1,500 a night. Mind you, the top band in town at that time, 16 years ago, was $900 a night.
Nice.
So no one would book us.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like anything else. You just keep going. Nobody's booking us. But there's this thing happening. We're creating this vibe, this thing in town that people are talking about us. Plus, if you're the cheapest price, right? One thing. Maverick, it bums me out that now that we're a lot of money, right? To book our band. There are still bands that come out of Atlanta that are more money than us, and they get jobs in our own town, right? So we just had a plan. It turned out it worked. Within 3.5 years, we had reached every one of the goals that we had set for ourselves. By 5, we were strong. We've been on private jets, flown across the wherever. We've played in the Bahamas for things. We just played in the Dominican Republic, and we were the backup band to Richard Marx sang with us there. Taylor Dane from the 80s, the lead singer from Cheap Trick. It's all these singers get up and sing songs with us. We'll do 5 songs of Cheap Trick songs or 5 songs of whomever, right? Jim Blossoms or whoever you love. Anyway, so we've played with a lot of stars. So this thing just took off. We believed in something.
Yourselves mainly.
Yeah, and not only that we were worth something, so we valued our time.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that's happening. So, here I am 16 years later, and last year I decided I'm going to put out something called If You're in a Band. From my store, I do this little video. Hey, if you're in a band.
Are they all shorts?
All shorts.
Yeah.
If you're in a band, maybe you should think about this. Maybe you should drink water every day, because you're hydrated for the weekend when you're going to do it, Or maybe you should think about a way, don't let your mom take your picture of your band, right? Your grandma take the picture of your band. Go to a professional photographer, make it look like you're worth money. Dress up like you're worth the money that you're worth, right? Lots of tips along the way. So I've done over 200 tips.
Started when?
Started a year ago, right about now. That I did it, and I did it Monday through Friday. Did a tip every day. First on a phone, and then eventually a camera and a microphone and the whole deal. But it blew up nationwide, worldwide actually. So New Zealand, and people are emailing me constantly now, like, "Hey, I'm in a band, and we're dealing with this singer this situation. What do you think about this?" Or, how can we make more money?
All those?
I answer every one of them.
Yeah, good for you.
And I don't make any money off of it, but I don't really care about that. That's not my main goal with this. Like this, I really only did, if you're in a band, I only did this little thing, these little shorts for people in this town.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be a whole lot more money without other bands if I don't bring everybody up with it. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, my friend said the other day, he goes, thank God for your band. He goes, you're like Starbucks. I was like, what do you mean?
$6 coffee.
He said it used to be 50 cents for a cup of coffee. Now it's $3.50 for a basic cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Right. He said, you've raised it up, so my band now makes a lot of money. And so, in other words, we've done something good in the town because the musicians in this town believe they're worth money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're valuing ourselves, now here's the problem. No one else understands this across the world. And so people are hitting me up from England going, yeah, mate, we can't do this in our town. This is not how it works. And I'm like, it does if you have a conversation with people.
Yeah.
You start talking to the other musicians and saying, hey, don't you think it's bad that we played for $100 in the 60s? We played for $100 in the 70s? And it's 2025 and you're still playing for $100 a night?
Mm-hmm.
You're putting 6-8 hours in a night going and setting up your gear, tearing down your gear. I mean, the whole thing's a mess. Musicians are absolutely giving themselves up, giving themselves away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. I'm very passionate about that, obviously.
Good. Well, you're at the right place.
Right.
I know. Yeah, I figured that out.
But when you say it blew up, talk about that for a minute. How, to what extreme?
To what extreme? I don't know.
Analytics or
I don't know any of that. I don't care about that because I don't film
but
it.
it's done so well. You have people.
It was
coming
just
to
done
find
so
you at your-
real. This had nothing to do with well. It was with a camera, like a phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, the very first one that I did was sitting in the music store. And I said, if you're in a band, maybe you should value your time. And maybe this, matter of fact, what I said was this. I was sitting on a couch almost just like this. And I said, think about this. You have spent your life learning to play an instrument. You have practiced. You have rehearsed with bands. You've played many, many gigs. Now, by this time, all that time would have equated to going to college and becoming a surgeon. So why aren't you being paid like a surgeon? Why is it that you spend as much time as a surgeon does learning to be good at this craft and you're not being paid like a surgeon? How is that possible? And so, yeah, and from that point on, it just took off. Within 4 weeks, people were hitting me from Hawaii and Canada, calling me on the phone, right? Hey, I work at Bryan Adams' studio, and I just want to say thanks for, crazy stuff. And then they started getting in their cars and driving to my music store. And so now, every
If you go
week...
there, he's in the merch business.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm in the merch business. We made a shirt that says if you're in a band, and people drive
get
long
one.
distances to get them. Now, a lot of them we ship out, but it's amazing how many people come to the store and just come in and say, "Hey, I watch your stuff. I
love
really appreciate you."
Yeah.
Or people inviting me to Australia, right?
Yes.
Hey, if you ever need a place to come, I live on this, whatever, come over here, hang out with us. We have a great musical community. So I've made a lot of friends. I mean, it's crazy the amount of friends. And again, what's crazy to me is that somebody calls and goes, "Hey, we're in the middle of North Dakota. We're on our way." What? Yeah, we'll be there in 2 days.
Oh,
What?
I love that.
And they walk in the door, and I feel bad that I can't sit down with them, so I sit down with them, right? And I feel bad but a guy said to me, he said, you ever watch that Pickers show on TV where there's the two guys and they go around they've got a place down in Nashville where you can go down, they have an actual
been
store. There. You've been there.
Yeah, I have.
He
It
said,
has nothing to do with antiques.
he said,
He's in the merchandise business.
He's in the merchandise business. He said, "Mark, you're like the Pickers." He said, "Think about it. All these people tune into you because you're talking sense to them." And here's the thing. I'm just being real. I'm being honest. I figured out the keys to the kingdom in being in a cover band or playing music in your own town. I think I also have the keys to being an original act, but now it looks like I'm going to have to prove it because I can't get anybody to do the philosophy that I've laid out in a 10-point step, which I gave to them. But they don't see it. And until I prove it, can I then really say to them, I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Most bands in America make, their bands are $500 a night. So most in the world. So if you're in a band, most bands are playing for $500.
And you got about 5 members, so everybody's walking away with $100.
Yes. And,
Still.
and so my band is $10,000 a night. Now, what's the difference? There's some differences. I'm not going to say there's not.
$9,500.
Yes. But,
no,
but
there's a lot of difference.
That was
But
funny.
one is we've analyzed what it is we do, like more than any band could ever possibly do. We can play for probably 10 days straight, and if we had to go play a gig and play for 10 days straight and never repeat a song.
Is that one of the missions?
One of the missions no, it wasn't the mission. But it's something that we just go, we want to pride ourselves, and somebody walks up and goes, "You play a Rush song?" "Yeah." "You play a Kiss song?" "Yeah." Can you play a Justin Timberlake song? Yeah. You got any Bruno Mars? Yeah. Can you play some Frank Sinatra? Absolutely. We want to be that band that just goes, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
So that's been one of our key points is, can you play country? Yeah. Old country? Yeah. New country? Yeah. New pop? Yes. Dance pop? Yes. Cher? Yes. Taylor Swift? Absolutely. Variety, right? And the reason we got to the point we got to in the draw of people is because we never picked our own songs. So in other words, why would I want to know? I mean, what do you want to hear? Hey, by the way, you wanted to hear some Eagles? We learned some Eagles songs for you. We're playing next Friday night. Come check us out. And you're going to show up because I'm going to say, hey, this Eagles song goes out. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm going to make this show about you, not about me. And so,
well, that's true with product, isn't it? People,
I think so.
you know,
I mean,
for years,
but let me tell you, that's the opposite when you're an original artist. So when you're a cover band playing songs for people and you want to draw people, you have to play what they want.
Yeah.
If I want you to show up to my show, I've got to be able to speak your language and be able to do that. And that's why kids who like Taylor Swift or Justin Timberlake or whomever they like, or kids that like the Stones or the Beatles or Frank Sinatra or whoever that kid is, meaning a kid that's 80 years old.
Yeah, kid of any age.
Right, of any age, because music takes you back to where you grew up, and you're so tied to those songs that usually are somewhere between 10 and 20 years old.
Yeah, it's the soundtrack to your life.
Your soundtrack to your life. So you go through middle school, particularly high school too, and those songs are your songs. You get out for a few years, those songs are your songs. So you got about a 10-year window of songs that you love.
Yeah.
And so we want to play those 10 years worth of songs for you, right? And I think that's one of the reasons that we've gotten to where we've gotten.
You know, you encourage youth to get involved in this?
Music?
Right.
You kidding me? Yes. I think everybody should learn to play music. I don't think anybody should.
do too.
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's something that unfortunately our schools have kind of gone away from, but I have not. And I'm telling you right now, it is so important.
Are you still doing the school for kids? You had a rock school.
Oh yeah, we teach all kinds of kids. We probably have 500 kids in our program.
Great.
It's crazy.
May I tell you a quick story about my music career?
Yeah, sure.
14 years old. My parents put me on the accordion when I was about 8. I get to junior high school, and John Garner, who you happen to know, Piney Woods, he said, you play any music? We hadn't met before. I said, everybody's playing music. He's trying to get a band together. I said, I play the accordion. He goes, dude, I've told this on here before. The story's going to get old. Dude, they're going to kick your ass if you know.
Yeah.
So somebody you play the accordion. But
But don't tell anybody
It's one of those pianos that you hold.
I know what I'm doing. I want to check this out.
Okay, so anyway, he said, you already know the keyboard. Go get an organ, be in our band. Be in our band. But let me tell you, I was a very shy, only child. Never involved in sports. My dad liked cars and art and airplanes. Learned how to fly an airplane, learned how to paint, learned how to do all these things, but none of it involved interaction with people. I was an adult by 14 years old, or so I felt. And so anyway, I buy that organ, and I convinced my parents to get me a Vox Continental organ and a Berkeley amp, still have it in perfect shape.
That's incredible to me that you still have it, but go ahead.
And it looks like it's brand new. And I carry it all over the place.
Yeah.
But here's what music did for me, and you can hitchhike on this story. I'm not telling you because of me, but all of a sudden, I'm on stage. I got to play my part. Brian, your lead's coming up. I got to know the lead. So being afraid to be on stage in front of people, well, you can't do it.
I know.
You got to eat it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're afraid.
Yeah.
When you're doing it, you just got to.
I try to tell everybody, this is my thing about fear in music, because a lot of people do fear getting on stage or playing music in front of people. And, you can always say, hey, just picture everybody naked, into the crowd. But that doesn't really work.
No.
What really works, in my opinion, is having a different psychological view of what you're there to do.
Yeah.
So in other words...
Oh, hold on. This is the tip. You want to be in a band.
If you're in a band and you're the lead singer, or you're anybody in that band, remember this: you're there because they are sick, and you're the doctor, and you have a cure, and it's a song.
Doctor.
That's right. And listen. And here's the thing: nobody cares that much about you because we're pretty selfish human beings. The people in the crowd are thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
How do I look?
Yeah.
Does that girl look over there? You get
Is
what I'm
she
saying?
looking at me?
Yes, right. And so the idea is that if you can get out of your head and realize that you have a cure
That's good.
for these people. And here's the thing. You also, I'll tell people, when you walk up to the side of the stage, look out there at everybody and if you and look at the lady that's sitting there and say, that lady, her husband left her.
Mm-hmm.
And that man over there, his house just burnt down. And that person back there is having the worst trouble because of school or whatever it is.
Yeah,
In other words,
problems could be anything, right?
because everybody has issues.
Yeah.
Every one of us has something that's going on. And so the idea is if you can stand back and go, man, I'm just here for a couple hours to make their life just a little bit better. Every band is like a good movie, you know? You sit down and you watch a good Netflix thing and you're like, oh, yeah, it takes you away from life.
But I'm talking about the people in the band. I'll just say that. So after high school was over, because
Yeah.
I'd played in all those talent shows and we played, some little, but we weren't serious. I was trying to get to college,
Yeah.
and I was too busy in college to continue it. So that I parked that organ, but I parked it in my bedroom. But guess what? I joined a fraternity. I became the president of fraternity, the first of my chapter, and it allowed me to get on stage once again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now I got to know that the song becomes a speech rather than
Yep.
the story I'm trying. But I got up and I gave a speech one night, and two guys walked up that were with the Louisville Chamber of Commerce. Said, "Do you want a job?" I said, "Doing what?" "The director of tourism for Clark, Floyd, and Harrison counties." And I got the job.
Yeah.
Nobody else. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I equated all that back because if you say to do anything, it's like, what's the essence? The essence was 14 years old.
Oh,
I got to fight it out. Who owns the sound system? Who owns the speakers? Who's going to buy the microphones? We got to get all this equipment here and back. I mean, who's going to pay for that? All the elements of, now we're in business.
Yeah. I have parents come up to me all the time and say the same thing. They go, I cannot believe my kid is up there on that stage. They were such, just so backwards or whatever they were. But, again, yeah, it's funny because we're also a product of our parents so much,
We
right?
are.
And
It's the best lottery you'll ever win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so sometimes they're, when I used to coach bands, young bands, I would make the parents sit outside because I wanted to get the most out of the kid.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even let them in the room, and then I'd get them really ready and get them really comfortable, and the kids are having fun, and they're on stage, and they're in their element, and they're with their buddies, right? And they've just completed, and the song sounds great. I'm like, hey man, I'm bringing the parents in. You bring the parents in, and though they backed down a little bit, it was still the fact that they were prepared to do so, and I gave them the room to be kids, right? But to also feel like, man, I can actually do this. Right?
But I think if you're in that spot, you strive very hard to not make a mistake. Whatever your part is.
That's a good experience too, to get up there and realize, I want to make as few mistakes here as possible.
Yeah, I can't
and
flop this up.
It puts you in. It puts you into a new level
in your head,
and you get
in front of people
those results.
Yeah.
You get those results, and you win and lose as it goes. But
you do, and I think you get to the point to where you win more than you lose.
yeah,
but you learn to look people in the eye. You learn to communicate a thought. You learn to, you just learn, and it's But if you're sitting in the chair at home on your phone and in front of a computer screen, that's not happening.
Yeah.
This does not come by osmosis.
No doubt.
You have to put yourself in pain's way.
Yep.
Really,
you do.
It's true. It can feel painful.
It can feel.
You'll experience anxiety and nervousness and all those emotions, and you'll feel like, and you'll realize afterwards, I was alive.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm in.
I said passion is the fuel for life.
Sure.
It fuels your life. If you don't ever stick your neck out, you just don't ever get that feeling inside. And
the reward.
And I just feel so sorry for people that can't force themselves to just launch into something. But anyway, I don't mean to take this away from
listen, we'll talk about that in part 2.
Yes, because we're going to talk about business.
Sure. But I do, music is just, it's a gateway. It's a gateway into great things in your life. It can also be a gateway into bad stuff.
Yeah.
So the idea is it's be careful who you hang out with, right? Be careful who your friends are, because it can lead you down. It can lead you down some bad paths too. I mean, I'm just being honest. It's like the better quality friends and people you hang around with, the better quality things happen to you. Same with my band. I was 40 at 42. I'm 58 now. 16 years ago, it wasn't about how good they were. It was how good they were as humans. And so the idea is that I needed that. I wanted that in my life because I knew we could go anywhere if all of us were pushing that ball in the same direction. 6 guys pushing this big ball in the same direction. I knew we could do anything matter of fact, I knew we could do more than we could dream.
Yeah.
Because we were dreaming when we said those things. And then when they came true, it was like, all right, what's next?
I talked to so many people. So we hadn't played in years. And it's been about 4.5 years ago. I'm having coffee with a lot of these guys. Remember when? And it's all in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
We did this, we did that. Remember this, remember that. And I'm like, I am so tired of having these conversations. Let's talk about anything in the windshield and nothing in the rearview mirror, such as. And I said, let's start playing music. Let's put a band together.
Yeah.
Let's just start playing.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, we played on Tuesday nights. And I'm off of Church Street, and I set up it's about this size room, isn't it? In here is
your basement
at my house, where we play.
Yeah, not much bigger.
So it's about not much bigger. But anyway, so I just set it up. All the equipment stayed. You could just walk in, plug in, and play.
It was great.
So we didn't have to lug stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, the microphones, everybody, they said we need a PA system. I said, I'm going to buy one.
Right.
And I'm not the singer, but we got to have this stuff.
Yeah.
Whoever can afford to get it, go get it.
Exactly. Whoever can afford it, and invest in what you're going to do. That's another thing that we did early on. We invested in a great picture with a great photographer and great clothing to wear in it. We invested in a great website because that's your calling card. Like, we made it a business. If you opened up a hat store, what would you have to do? Well, you'd have to go find a building. You'd have to put a sign up. You'd have to get a laptop. You'd have to get a website. You'd have to do some advertisement. You'd have to buy hats. You'd have to buy displays. You'd have to invest into whatever business you're going to start.
Yeah, you might have to eat a bologna sandwich in the meantime.
Absolutely. And that's what we did. We were like, hey, matter of fact, we invested for 1.5 years before we got our first gig.
Right. Ouch.
So we had spent
That's
money.
a long time.
It is 1.5 years, and they were getting mad at me. All the guys in the band. I was like, no, hold on.
Wow, that's
hold
a vision,
on.
yeah.
It's coming.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do not yourself out. That
Yeah.
word, which I can't say,
Yeah.
but don't do that. Don't do this. Be the girl that does this, not this.
Yes.
Because the girl that does this, we still want her to this day.
That's another tip.
That's a great tip, which I can't even do. I haven't done on If You're in a Band that one because everybody gets mad about me.
No, well, thanks, but you did it here.
I did it here, but I've never done it before live. I'm just saying, don't just, hold on and value your time, your life, your talent, and figure out a way to package it well enough to, I always equate my band and everybody else's band to ketchup.
It's to
Ketchup.
Okay.
Ooh,
Go down the aisle,
yeah.
go down the aisle, and look at all the different kinds of ketchups, right? Now, who's number one?
Now, did you hear my story about this? Because I tell a business story about this.
No, but
Go ahead.
I do talk about ketchup because I find it interesting. Here's the deal. If I took any hamburger and put ketchup on it and I bit into it, would I bite into it and go, oh, no, this isn't Heinz? I wouldn't.
Nope.
Right? So ketchup's ketchup to a certain degree. If I took a white paper plate and I took all the ketchups and shook them up and poured them out on a plate and I gave you a French fry and I say, all right, what's the best one? Maybe you like one better than the other. I'm not saying you don't, but it's all ketchup, right? And so I'm saying that my band is nothing more than a well-bottled ketchup, right?
I've got to tell. I'm sitting here.
Think
I
about
can't stand this. But
Think about Heinz. Think about how sexy their bottle is. They have these little cuts in their bottle that are amazing. They have a song, Anticipation, from back in the day where
Right.
it's barely coming out, right? They have
That was a good one.
They have legend to their name.
Yeah.
Where if you hit the side of the bottle on the etched in 57 on the actual bottle, it comes out perfectly. It's BS,
Right.
But
Sounds good.
It's
But hold on. I got to.
such a great marketing scheme on what they did. that made us love Heinz #1, Hunt's #2, golden red, whatever, many other ones behind it. But yes,
Here's my quick story.
go ahead.
Ketchup story. So I said, advertising yourself, you must market whatever it is what we're pitching.
Yeah.
I was in the marketing business for 50 years. But back to ketchup. Which is best, Heinz ketchup or Zulu ketchup? Same price. Which would you buy sitting on the shelf?
Everybody's going to buy Heinz.
Why?
'Cause
Bigger, better, faster, stronger?
It's because you know it.
Here's
you
the
know the
funny
name.
part.
You've seen the name. They've done a great job marketing themselves. That's why. Go.
So I got venture capital money, and I walked in, and they goes, what are you going to do? And I said, do you have a business plan? Yes, I have a business plan. I said, replicate success and lop off failure. And I said, for instance, Heinz ketchup. This is so funny that you bring up Heinz ketchup. I said, did you notice the logo on Heinz ketchup? You know what their logo is? It was Heinz, and what was it written on? A pickle. Remember that?
I didn't know that. No.
If you go back and look, Heinz ketchup, they've since pulled it off. But Heinz ketchup was a pickle, and they had Heinz on the side of this pickle. Why? Well, they were in the pickle business before they got in the ketchup business.
Oh.
Well, ketchup was doing really well. Pickles not so well. What are we going to do? We're going to replicate success. Ixnay with the pickles, more ketchup. Here we go.
Wow.
And so I think you've got to bob and weave through
Everything.
the ketchup aisle.
Yeah.
I'll shut up with that. But I tell these business stories 1,000 times, but it is so true. But if you're not in the marketing business of your product, if you've got distribution, you've got sales.
Sure.
Care what it is.
Yeah.
We're going to sell a helicopter,
Sure.
an encyclopedia, or we got to got to market this somehow. And how do we do it?
Right.
The reason I like the podcast thing is it's like owning a TV station, only it's free.
Right.
You just got to get people to come.
That's right.
So anyway,
Yeah,
back to mute.
That's a whole thing too. But in that, so I want to teach the world to sing.
Heard that before.
Yeah.
I think you want to teach the world about a lot of things through music.
I do.
Yeah.
I want musicians I want them to value their time and themselves and their talent. So I really want the musicians of our community to do that. The people who hire you will do so if you know how to treat them too, right?
Yeah.
So being able to understand that you can't hassle the people into buying your product, right? You have to convince them that that you're worth it. And then you got to be worth it.
Nobody wants to buy a $50 Rolex.
No, they don't.
If Rolexes were $50, nobody'd want one.
Nobody'd want one. Right, which is,
true.
yeah, it is. And so I often will take I will often take a Mercedes key and lay it down and take a Hyundai key and set it down on the table. And I'll say, pick which one you want. You can have one of those two keys and go out and drive away. Take your choice. What do? They pick up that Mercedes key.
Every time.
And they walk out the door, but they don't realize is that Mercedes is 20 years old and got 10,000 billion miles on it, right? But that Hyundai was brand new.
Oh.
And it's worth 30 grand.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not always what perception is reality in a way, right? And so that my dad always said, it's not what it is, it's how people perceive it to be. Life.
But
and
value
things.
is not, people say, oh, value. That's not the cheapest hotel room you would stay in, right? I said, I've stayed in a $30 hotel room. I would never go back. Stay in a $530 hotel room. Can't wait to go back. So it's not the money.
Right.
But it's the perceived value and then the value delivered.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to be worth it. There's all there's to it. So, yeah, we can be as much money as we want to be, but you got to be worth it.
You got to deliver.
You do have to deliver. And we worked really hard at that, too, because for that year and a half, we rehearsed 1 or 2 times every week, and we were very focused by walking in and going, all right, what's going to make this band better? Well, what if we practiced our whole 3-hour set that we have right now and never looked down at our instrument? Would that make us better?
Yes.
Of course it would.
Yeah.
You're going to look at somebody in the eye while you're singing or playing as opposed to looking down at your hands. So can we turn it around from 80% here and 20% up here to 80% up here and 20% down here? You know what I'm saying? How do I have to look at this? Do I have to watch my hands? No. If Stevie Wonder can do it, so can you. Right?
Yep.
So just practice with, rehearse it with the band. You practice at home, you rehearse with the band. And you go and you rehearse these things. And we rehearsed walking around on stage so that we would get comfortable because there's 6 guys. You know, how do we not smack each other in the head with the guitars and stuff?
Yeah.
So we did a lot of things in that rehearsal room that no bands will ever do. We would practice transitions so that it would not stop the music. And because we realized, why were DJs doing so well in town? And 16 years ago, people were all complaining that DJs are taking over our jobs. And I said, well, let's analyze that. Why?
Excellent point.
Well, because DJs will play any song you ask them to play. Okay. They also never let the music stop, so the music just flows one to the next song to the next song. So if you do get up to dance, you're on that dance floor for a long time.
Yeah.
For 20 minutes or so, because they won't let the music stop. It just goes right to the next song. So that's called transitions. So why don't we just learn to transition between the songs? Why don't we just play all the songs they want instead of the songs we want? Oh, we're going to draw people that way? Yeah. What if we made it more special than that? What if we said, hey, this one goes out to Wendy. I went to school with her, and this next song's for her. Oh my gosh, you don't think Wendy's going to show up with her husband and all her kids and everybody else because I'm going to make it special for Wendy? And Mark Maxwell isn't the star. Wendy's the star of this show. You got to think different, to be different, to make things different. And I think that's what we tried to do. In that rehearsal room, we did a lot of things that most bands will never take the time to do. But we had nothing else to do. We had a year and a half before anybody came. I'm glad no one booked us. And then 1 happened, and then 2 and 3 and 4, and then it just went crazy.
Did you find that it's the biggest struggles we've had is to get people to commit and stick?
You mean in the band?
Yeah.
Well, this band was a little bit different. I told them, don't quit your other day job. Don't quit your other bands. Yeah. Just come in here and rehearse this band until it's right. And the first gig we played and the second gig we played was unbelievable. So by that time, we had perfected something. We didn't even know how good it was until we hit that stage and we went, oh my gosh. People were going crazy. They had fun. It was a great 2 nights that we played. One was a wedding. The other one was a thing at Kai's, which used to be downtown Jeffersonville. Anyway, it was so good that they were like, no way. Oh. And then we had made as much money those 2 nights that they had made ever really in a band. So who's going to turn away from that money? Matter of fact, I would say we would all agree that if we weren't making the kind of money that we're making right now as individuals in a band, we wouldn't be in a band anymore. We would not be doing this if things hadn't worked out. If our dreams didn't happen like we wanted them to. But all we did is we wrote them down. We said, here's where we want to go.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you know where the destination is, you can get there. The biggest problem we have as a band is 5 years into it, all those dreams had come true. And
what?
And for 5 more years, we didn't say now what. For 5 more years, we stuck on that. Mm-hmm. And at 10 years being a band, I went, oh, wait a minute. We're stuck in this one thing that we couldn't dream anymore because we couldn't dream the fact that we'd get there in the first place. So we stayed in that same place for 5 more years until we went, all right, what's the next dream?
So if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we knew where we wanted to go and we got there and then we just stayed there. And there just wasn't any more growth for 5 years. That
wasn't horrible. You stayed there.
It was incredible.
Right.
It was incredible that we stayed there and we did fine. But then it was, in our 10th year or so, it was like, what are we doing? Why didn't this become a bigger thing? Why aren't we doing bigger events? Why aren't we getting, why aren't things bigger and better? Well, because we settled. We settled on that this was where we wanted to go.
That was the zenith.
Yeah. So it was like saying, hey, I want to be on a TV show. Okay, and you finally got on a TV show. But you didn't dream that you wanted to be on a number 1 ranked TV show.
Or own the show.
Or own the show, or be the producer of the show, or you wanted to be in 10 different movies after that. You didn't plan any bigger because you never expected in the first place to get where you're going. Yeah. You made the plan to, and you did, and you got there, but you never really thought you were going to do it. And nobody in our band, when I said we're going to be a $5,000 band, and we were all playing in $500 bands, it was laughable.
I'll bet, yeah.
Think about it. If I said, hey, I'm driving this kind of car right now, but in 5 years, I'm going to be driving that kind of car. You make the plan and you work that plan, you can have anything you want.
Yeah.
You can't have everything you want, but you can have anything you want.
Sometimes everything.
No.
No?
No, absolutely not. There's no way for you to have everything, but you can have anything.
Okay. We'll have to.
Wow.
So what we're going to do.
Get into that one.
Yeah, I am over here.
Let's this is the perfect place to say this. I hope you'll come back and talk about music again.
I don't want to talk about music again.
But
Okay.
our next
But he'll
part two of this is to talk about business, because I know you're really interested in that as well. And I thought rather than mix it all to pieces, we'll talk about music this first segment.
Yeah.
And as we pull the next show together for next week,
Are we done?
We'll take a break.
Are we done?
We're done with this one. We're going to take a
Lord
break.
have mercy.
We're going to take a break and come back, and we're going to talk about business for the show that comes out the following week.